I'm Jay Taylor. I'm the editor of a newsletter called Jay Taylor's Gold Energy and Tech Stocks. I'm here backstage at the Metals Investor Forum in Toronto, and I'm here with Dr. Quinton Hennigh. He is a technical advisor and a member of the board of directors of Irving Resources. And Irving Resources is a company I've been following now for a few years. It's a company that is exploring for silica-rich gold mineralization in Japan. It has a number of really attractive targets that it's shooting at. It's starting to drill and explore. And they've been slowed up a little bit by COVID, quite a bit actually, I think more than a lot of other companies because of the difficulty getting people in and out of Japan, drillers and people they need, the technical people and so forth. But they are starting to get active now, and I think it's a company you really want to keep an eye on. And I'm really glad that Quinton is here to explain why I think that that's true. Thanks for joining me, Quinton.
Absolutely, Jay. Yeah, it's a pleasure to kind of hit the reset button with Irving. I think now that COVID is lifting, as you said, and we're really in the endemic, we can see that things are going to start opening up to international travel, and we're very anxious to get back to work. In fact, we've already started some work to expedite exploration. So
Right. And I'd like to start out by asking you, there was a press release that Irving put out in December of 2021 that had you very excited. I remember you were on my radio show talking about it. You
yep.
discovered a deep structure, a deep, I guess, hot springs deposit.
Right.
And you got very excited about it because you thought that it could be, I think you used the word game changer on my show. Tell
That
us
is
why.
correct. Okay, so we've been drilling at this Omui area, which is one of three targets on the Omu property. It's in Hokkaido. Omu is a little tiny town, a fishing town on the ocean, the Okhotsk Ocean, which is really leads out into the greater Pacific. And this property, this Omui target, is really our most advanced target. We've got an area called Humpi, which is the site of a historic mine, Japanese era mine. It was mined in the 1920s, I believe, the latter part of the 1920s. And they literally just mined a small pit, gutted out a big chunk of high grade and shipped it off to the smelters. But we've been dead keen to see what else is there. And one of the things that's been a mystery to us for a while is if you look at the textures of the vein and stuff in this area, this humpy area, there's a lot of fragments of rock that aren't from the local area. They must be coming from somewhere else. In fact, some of the fragments are clearly pieces of what we call sinter, silica sinter.
Mhm.
And lo and behold, after drilling there, it's been slow due to COVID, but we got a couple holes in last year, and one of the holes hit a buried sinter, okay, right below the humpy area, about 200 meters down, 200 meters and change. We hit a brand new sinter horizon. So it's a buried sinter, which is the deposit that forms at the surface when a hot spring is active. But we found it buried. Okay, what does that mean? Well, it means that this system was forming, and there's a feeder zone below that, most likely. That could be very, very a very, very robust target for us. But it got buried sometime when it was forming. It basically got buried by volcanic rocks that came in while the hot spring was active. And you can imagine it as it gets buried up. The hot spring probably tries to make its way back up through the newly laid volcanic rock. And it kind of reestablished itself a little bit up at surface. So that's the Humpy vein. The
Oh,
very top is the reestablished system. But it's this discovery of a new system at depth that's got us absolutely fired up. Now, we did when we found this in December, we put out news. We talked about, we did get assays earlier this year, and the sinter, just like expected, is anomalous in gold, very highly anomalous, up to 3 grams gold in places. For a sinter, that's remarkable because usually the sinters are kind of barren in most of these systems. Like the gold is actually down below. But what we think is present is a feeder zone below this. Now,
mm,
we came back in this season, this drill season that just passed in the winter, and we drilled 2 holes. We had drill pads and permitted drill pads on the south side of Humpy. So we poked 2 holes to try to get back at this zone. It was a bit of a reach, but we did see a lot of veining particularly in hole 1, and we're very optimistic that the assays from that will be very, very good. Okay, now the assay turnaround has been slowed, not because of the lab necessarily this go around, but because we've had COVID sweep through the camp. So about the time we announced completion of hole one, which I think was the end of March, we had about 4 or 5 weeks there where COVID basically swept through our team, the drillers, and for several weeks there, they didn't get cores on, they didn't get drilling completed as fast as hoped, and it was a bit of a slog.
Mm-hmm.
But we got all the samples sawn and into the lab around the middle of March or May, and those are in the lab right now. We expect results within the next couple of weeks, but we're very excited about this. Now, the bigger news, like I don't want to take all the time here, but the big story is that we bought drills and we're going to put in our own drill operation. So this summer we can go back at this very aggressively.
Right. Well, we really look forward to that, and the drill results that will be forthcoming in the next few weeks, I guess. With bated breath, I'll be watching for sure. Yeah. So you have a number of targets, and you're getting 2 drill rigs. Will those drill rigs be mostly focused on this new discovery, or how are you going to allocate your drill rigs now?
Yeah, we're going to allocate. We'll have both of them there at Omu initially.
Okay.
But it does give us a latitude now to move one of the rigs down to Yamagano, which is on the southern island, Kyushu, later this year or early next year. So we will be able to do 2 drill campaigns simultaneously, which is a big leap. The more important point, though, in the immediate term is the ability to drill this area at Hompi very aggressively, starting in July when the drill arrives. The drill left port, I think, 2 days ago, and it's going to hit Japan sometime around the second week in July. We're hiring our own drill team. Basically, we are going to take total control of the drill operations, and we're going to run this autonomously. It's been a pain in the neck getting people in and out of the country, but we're going to try to build up more of an in-country, in-house drill crew to handle what we need to do. And that, I think this is a good step for the company. I think if you look, like we're trying to model things after Lion One, where they've been able to drill autonomously in Fiji without having to interact with the outside world.
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah, that's worked really well. And so there's a number of targets. How many different sort of targets do you have in Japan? And I guess which ones, how many are really focused on right now then?
Okay, so the Omu project, first and foremost, and we're doing several levels of work there. We've got another drill fired up at Hokuryu, which is one of the 3 targets at Omu. So that drill's operating right now. It's going to drill a series of holes as a part of the phase 1 drilling there. We did hit a couple of high-grade veins late last year, but we're going to follow up with that now with some more holes. We've got further drilling at Omui, which is the target I've been talking about with this newly discovered buried sinter. One of the things we're doing before we fire up that drill again is to do a CSAMT survey. This is basically an electrical survey to look, down into the ground, look for patches of resistive rocks where there might be a lot of silica or veining. And that work is actually being done right now. We've got visa applications approved about a month ago, and the crew for CSAMT, I believe they're out of Australia or New Zealand, I can't remember. But anyway, they're on site right now. They're busy doing that work. We expect to have that data within a few weeks. Now that crew will go down to Yamagano after they're done at Omui. So they're going to go down to Yamagano and run a similar survey across that property. Now, the other plans there at Omui will be to drill. I mean, basically, when that A5 rig shows up in mid-July, that drill is going to be dedicated. And then when the Bort drill arrives, I believe in August or September, both those drills will be dedicated to drilling at Omui. We want to evaluate that deep target. We've got more permitting accomplished now, so we can put pads in new areas. We've kind of pushed back some cleared some areas to gain access to drilling. But we're just setting the stage for a lot of work to come here. It's been slow, it's been painful during COVID, but I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. And I think the moves we're making around securing these drills and getting the crews in, the geophysical crews in and stuff, are going to give us that start. We're at the starting gate for the next leg of exploration drilling.
Good. Well, we'll certainly be watching, and I know that you've compared that hidden target, that deeper target, to Fruta del Norte, which is a remarkable high grade deposit. You see similar geology to that, and you see that as a possible
We do,
lookalike.
yeah, yeah. So there's some aspects. I'll touch on a few details there. So firstly, we see kind of a complex nature of sheeted veins. So veins that are basically very close to one another, and oftentimes even crisscrossing one another in this system. And that's very similar to Fruta del Norte. We also see a similar gold to silver ratio. It's a 1 to 1 or 1 to 2, something like that, which is typical of in my view, typical. Like if you look across the board at epithermal systems, usually those kind of gold ratios are very, very favorable for a big discovery. So we got that working with us, and then just the whole nature of the buried center. If you look back at the Fruta del Norte discovery, it was a covered area that they were driven. You can talk to Keith Barron and others. They were driven by a bit of geochemistry, a little bit of geophysics, and they were drilling a blind target really. But they drilled down, they hit a sinter horizon very similar to what we hit, and it was immediately below that they found this large ore body, gold ore body, that was really the feeder for that sinter system. And that's another strong similarity we have. So yes, the Fruta del Norte analog is the one we're aiming for here.
Well, I certainly think people should keep their eyes on this story, Quinton. It's a very small market cap. I don't think too many people are paying attention. The company's been pretty quiet, not much going on. Thanks a lot to COVID. I think when this puppy wakes up, people are going to, I think they're going to be surprised, especially if you come out. That's why I'm just waiting with bated breath on those drill results that are going to be coming out hopefully in the next few weeks. So anything else to add real quickly?
Well, look, the other thing to add is that, Newmont and Sumitomo Corporation are shareholders.
Yeah.
Newmont's been in from day one, more or less. And, we expect to see that continued support from the company. I think Newmont is very, very focused on the work we're doing at Omu. And they've been very active, arranging the CSAMT surveys and things like this. But they are also very keen on Yamagano. Yamagano is the nearest district to the Hishikari mine, so it's down in Kyushu. Hishikari, of course, is the most famous mine in Japan. It is just an absolutely stupendous hot spring, high-grade epithermal gold deposit. It's produced, I think, around 8 million ounces of gold at this point, something like 300,000 ounces a year, entirely a smelter flux, by the way. They don't have a mill. They just mine the rock and they sort it and ship the silica to the smelter. But this Yamagano property is the closest analog. It's the same age. It's the same host rocks. It's basically a direct analog for Hishikari. So we're, Newmont and we are very focused on advancing that property in particular. We've got I would call it the crown jewel of Japan. It's probably the most desired property in Japan. Akiko, bless her heart, cut a deal with the Shimatsu family, who control the core mining lease there. And every Japanese mining house in history has tried to do a deal on this property. No deal. Okay, Akiko got a deal. Okay, this is astounding. It's a remarkable testament to her savvy and wherewithal to get deals done. So we're very
lots to keep our eyes on. Then we'll look for those drill results. And then Yamagano should be another thing to keep an eye on. It's really exciting, Quinton. I want to thank you very much for taking the time to update our viewers on this. It's I think a story people really need to keep an eye on. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Jay.